All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I am Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. Today, I want to talk about CORZ Scientific, stock ticker CORZQ. The Q is because they are in Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization. So they recently put out their operational report. They put one out for the month of November and December. So we now know the full picture of what CORZ Scientific did operationally in the year 2022. I want to talk about CORZ Scientific's operations, but I also want to talk about CORZ Scientific as a company and as a potential shareholder, the things that I think people should be looking for, the questions they should be answering. I'm not sure I know the answer to a lot of these questions, but to me, I want to raise the critical questions that I think make a difference here on CORZ Scientific. So if you're new to the channel, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, if everybody could please smash the like button, it helps the channel out a lot. Lastly, you can become a member of the channel by hitting the join button on the YouTube page. It's right next to the subscribe button. If you don't see a join button, then there should be a link below in the description. Members get some members-only content. We do a once-a-week members live stream, and that is going to be today after the market closes. So that's every Tuesday after the market closes. And lastly, on that live stream, members get to pick a company for me to do a deep dive video on for members only. So we have a lot of fun there. You're welcome to join us. Let's talk about CORZ Scientific. There's a lot to go through. I'm going to try and move as fast as I can. I want to start with taking a look at their stock right now. So they're trading at about 8 cents. They're down a little bit in the red today. Today is not a big movement day so far in Bitcoin. So this leaves them with somewhere around a $31 million market cap. So the very first thing I want to do is just put that in perspective. They're at about a $31 million market cap right now. If you look at this article from July 21st, 2021, so that's a year and a half ago now, crypto miner CORZ Scientific to go public via a $4.3 billion SPAC deal. So that was the initial valuation. They're now down to under $31 million. So this is down still 99+% from its initial valuation. And in addition to that, they are in Chapter 11 reorganization bankruptcy. So they have a reorganization plan. I want to take a quick look at that as well, because I think it's important to understand what's happening with them from an operational standpoint and from a restructuring standpoint, because there's going to be massive changes to the stock and the stockholders in this company. So let's just start by going through the operational update. Okay, so this was put out January 9th. CORZ Scientific announces November and December 2022 updates. So they had skipped their November, but now they're doing them both in the same update here. So let's hit some of the highlights. Okay, produced 1,356 and 1,435 self-mined Bitcoin in November and December respectively. So I did skip their co-location stuff because I'm going to talk later. I'm just not sure there's any value in that side of the business. I'm not sure how that's going to end up working out. And obviously they get paid a fee for hosting, so it really doesn't matter how many Bitcoin their hosted machines mine. So I'm going to skip down to the self-mining part. That is what I'm going to focus on. That is what this business is about. They are one of the largest Bitcoin mining hosting companies out there, and they are the largest of all the publicly traded companies, but it has never been a profit center. They basically break even on that, and so I'm not sure how that segment of the business goes forward. One of their main customers is also bankrupt, so they have now turned off all of those machines. So there's a lot going on that side that I don't think we need to get into. There's enough to talk about just in their self-mining business and their bankruptcy proceedings. Okay, so self-mining. CORZ Scientific self-mined operations produced 1,356 and 1,435 Bitcoin in November and December respectively. As of the month end, the company operated approximately 152,000, so that was as of November 30th, and 153,000 as of December 31st. In October, they were at 14.4 exahash. So they grew an exahash in November and then 0.3 exahash in December. So there was some growth, but more importantly, going into Chapter 11 reorganization has allowed them to continue to run all of their machines. So they're running at full capacity. The 1,356 Bitcoin that they mined in November was their all-time record in a month for the history of this company. And obviously, they then beat that in December and set a new all-time record at 1,435. So they are mining more than they've ever mined, and they are mining multiples more, really, than even the second and third place Bitcoin miner. So this is an extremely big player. The question is, what does all this mean? How do we put this in perspective? Because being in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, all this performance, we don't know how this is going to equate to a performance in their stock. Okay, just to put the year in perspective, we'll look at some charts that I put together real quick. This is Bitcoin mined by month. So this goes back to December 31st, 2021. So we have the month over month comparison for this December and all 12 months of the year for 2022. So They mined over 14,000 Bitcoin in the year 2022. That is by far the number one Bitcoin mined. In second place and third place, there were two other companies that mined just over 5,000 Bitcoin. So that shows you just the scale and size of Core Scientific as a company. Now, on the flip side of this is their Bitcoin mining exahash. This is their efficiency rate by month. And I will tell you, back in December and January, they had some astronomical numbers here. I don't know how they accomplished these numbers. These are almost outlying numbers. Somewhere here by March at 138 and then 126. Those were more realistic numbers, so I'm not exactly sure what was happening back here. But the point of this is you can see this is a trend line going straight down, all the way down through November was their lowest, 88 Bitcoin mined per active exahash. So this is a company that's efficiency really for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 months has been between 88% and 93%. So just about in the same range. That's a step lower than the efficient Bitcoin miners that they compete with. They did talk about the fact that they did some self-curtailment because energy was needed on the grid, and they do participate with local communities to share the energy when necessary, especially during extreme temperatures. In the low 90s is not a disaster, it's just not competitive with the most efficient miners in the space. This has been their cash cost to mine Bitcoin over the last 3 quarters. So you can see in Q1 they were down at $9,100. This popped up to about $14,000 in Q2. It stayed around the same in Q3, 14,771. And again, this is per their financial statements. So they may have some different way that they measure this, but I'm just taking their actual cost of sales and deducting the non-cash costs to see what their cash cost is per Bitcoin. Because what we're trying to figure out here is, are they making money mining Bitcoin? They say that they are. I'm going to show you a sentence where they say that they are a very cash flow positive company if you disregard their debt. So with Bitcoin at 16,800, that looks like it only leaves about $2,000 per Bitcoin. We'll have to wait for their December financial statements to see if maybe they brought the cost of their Bitcoin down and they were making more money than that per Bitcoin. And again, remember, they mine a lot of Bitcoin. They mined 1,400 Bitcoin just in 1 month. The company's existing convertible note holders will equitize their debt into a significant majority of the common stock of the reorganized company. A significant majority. So to put that in perspective, they have about $680 million, I believe, in convertible debt that is due. The current market cap of this company, we just looked, is about $31 million. So that would represent, I think, like 95% dilution or maybe more, depending on where the final numbers sit. And in addition to that, they have borrowed some more money since then. BlackRock, which already was Core's largest shareholder, and I want to talk about that because they're actually not that big of a shareholder. BlackRock held $37.9 million of over $600 million in convertible notes. So it's not like this makes them a major player in Core Scientific. Now, they may choose to make further investments in that, but at the moment, I know there's a lot of speculation about the potential that BlackRock is taking this over, or they're going to buy it or consume it or be the majority shareholder. And so far, that's not what's happening right now. This is very small numbers for BlackRock. So BlackRock has almost $10 trillion under management. So this represents a tiny, insignificant portion of their world. Okay, so just to expand, investment giant BlackRock has committed $17 million to bankrupt Bitcoin miner Core Scientific as part of its new $75 million loan from the miner's secured convertible note holders. So in addition to the $600+ million that they owe these companies already, they're borrowing another $75 million as a part of this reorganization. That's all, I believe, going to get converted to equity. So the good news is their debt service is going to go down drastically. They still will have debt past this. So this is note 6 from their September 30th financial statements. They did have, you'll see secured convertible notes 1, secured convertible notes 2, and then there's an adjustment to fair value for these convertible notes. So that's where you get about $680 million. They do have all these other financial institutions that they owe money to. So this debt doesn't disappear. We'll see how that gets restructured. If some of them are willing to take equity positions, which would even further dilute the company, or if with the subtraction of the convertible debt notes, there'll be enough money to cash flow to pay off these other loans as they come due. Okay, so this goes on to say, in addition, holders of general unsecured claims, so that's their accounts payable and other accrued expenses, and existing common shareholders, so that would be you, the investor, would also receive meaningful recoveries in the form of reorganized common stock and warrants exercisable for significant portions of the common stock of the reorganized enterprise upon obtaining certain valuation thresholds. So they use a lot of subjective terms in here. With the unsecured creditors ahead of the shareholders, is it going to be even worse than that? And I don't know the answer to these questions. And I think until this process is done, nobody knows beyond the framework that they've given us here. We don't know exactly how much the existing shareholders are going to get of whatever becomes the new Core Scientific as it comes out of Chapter 11. So to me, this is a lot of risk. Now, maybe it's a risk reward because as you can see, operationally, these guys are an absolute monster. So if you believe that there's going to be enough left over and they're going to be able to continue to operate in an efficient way, then that would be your investment thesis. For me, this is too much risk. So that's my own personal opinion. So if we look at this stock from their high in November, which they were still a SPAC at that point and they converted afterwards, that was about $15. So they're down still over 99% right now. I'm going to zoom in. They are actually up a bunch over the recent days. Okay, so this is zoomed into Core Scientific on the 1 week time frame. You'll see this day right here, this giant gap down. That was the day that they announced, that was December 21st, they announced their bankruptcy and reorganization plans. So they took a big drop there. They bottomed out here at actually just a little bit over 4 cents. So believe it or not, even at 8.3 cents, they're up over 100% from where they bottomed out at just about a week and a half ago. So this is one of the reasons people play in this type of a space and trade a stock like this. This is an outstanding stock for day traders, maybe even swing traders. I'm not sure how much of value is left for long-term shareholders. So that would be my big question that, please, you guys got to do your own due diligence. I don't know. I will tell you, I don't know the answer to this question. And for me, it's more risk than I'm willing to take. So that's what's going on with them. That's their November and December update and a little bit of an update on their overall situation as their bankruptcy Chapter 11 reorganization proceeds. So hopefully this was helpful. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you in the next video.